Imagine having the power to study, learn, create, practice, and exercise even when you don't want to. Keep your distractions under control and being able to master anything you want if you put your mind to. Then let's stop imagining and let's make it happen. Today I'm going to share with you the key components that high performers have in common so you can have them too. But first, a little bit of storytelling. When I first graduated high school, my dream was to study physics. I had spent all my life up to that point preparing for uni. I was used to be top of the class too. But when I got to uni, everything changed. I was taking classes I had no idea why I had to be taking, like computer sciences, and new topics I didn't know how to solve, like mathematical proof. I felt helpless and out of place. To improve, I tried to study hard, long hours, stay up late, but despite all the effort, it was very hard for me to catch up and get the grades I needed. By the end of the third semester, I had lost all confidence in myself and in my dream. So I took a long break. Then I went to study psychology and cognitive sciences so that I could learn more about how and why we learn things. This is why I want to share everything that I know so that you can do better and hopefully avoid the mistakes that I made. To help you fix your lack of motivation, aka I don't want to study, but I have to, in today's video we'll cover how motivation works, 2 things you need to build motivation, and 4 things you can do today to get things going. Motivation is a cycle. It begins with a need that fuels a drive to do something in order to achieve a rewarding goal. After some time of taking action, we get feedback that helps us adjust our actions to that goal. This can come as an incentive or as an obstacle. Usually, if it's positive feedback that your actions are putting you on the right track, you will get the fuel you need to get going, increasing your drive levels. But if it's an obstacle, a setback, a disappointment, an unforeseen challenge, you'll have to take some of your drive reserves to keep going. So here's the interesting part. If you keep trying and getting negative feedback, getting more challenges, one day your drive reserves, they just run out. They get dry. And you simply will not have that fuel to keep you going, to get you into action anymore. To prevent this cycle from reaching this dead-end zone, we need to break the cycle. Let's say that you need to pass a course, and after some time you get to the point where you meet an obstacle. At this stage, it is very important for you to do 2 things. You have to believe and you have to adjust. You have to believe that there's a way and that you're gonna find it. And you have to believe that you have the control of doing so. In believing that there is a way and that you will find it, you might not have even figured out yet. You might even need additional tools, maybe help. But the point is that you keep believing in yourself. For the second one, believe that you have the control. You have to believe that even if there are things outside of your control, the things that you can control will help you get a positive outcome. This is called locus of control, and I have a 3-minute article linked below if you want to learn more about it. Number 2, adjust. Adjust the size, the strategy, and the pace. Maybe at this point in time, the obstacle makes you realize that it's too big to be tackled at once. And then what we need to do is break it down in pieces. Or perhaps what we need to change is the strategy. Maybe the approach we had wasn't working. Maybe cramming one night before the exam, as you used to do in high school, does not work anymore in uni because the content and evaluations used are different. So you need a different approach. Finally, you might have to adjust your timeline, especially if you had setbacks like getting sick. If you can negotiate for more time, you might have to increase the intensity, but make sure you rest after that period is done. Motivation is not productivity. Now, I've read most productivity books, from Atomic Habits from James Clear to Can't Hurt Me of David Goggins, and tried most productivity hacks, techniques, apps, tools, you name it. And there's one important thing to notice about this. All of this can actually help you to get into a productive and successful life. But they are tools. They're not going to do the work for you. They help you to, yes, build a discipline, to create a habit, to get your time managed and organized. But you still have to put the effort and you still have to do the work. Okay, that being said, let's go to 4 things you can start doing today that will help you do things when you don't feel like to. Number 1, break your goal into smaller atomic tasks. If what you have to do feels too hard or too complicated to do, break it into smaller sections. You still don't know what those sections or those smaller tasks look like? Don't worry. If it's reading a book, how about reading the table of contents and skimming through the first chapter? If it's making an essay, how about breaking up the titles, the subtitles, and the questions that need to be answered? If it's studying for an exam, how about writing 5 things you don't understand and look for those things first? If it's practicing something, how about simplifying the drill to the first step? The key here is to break things down into smaller bites that you feel are making you or helping you progress. 2-minute rule. So the 2-minute rule says that if you get started for the very first 2 minutes, it will give you the momentum to keep going. If after 2 minutes you feel like it's too forced, then quit. But do so at the mark of the 2 minutes. After a while, the habit of having broken the barrier of getting things started will help you make you and your brain want to go farther. Number 3, make it easy. You want to avoid all the unnecessary things that get in the way of your studies. Some examples of making things easier are: keep your study zone clean and clear. Another example is if you're missing on evening sessions because when you get home, you're too tired, or you just want to rest, or you got home really late, the day got complicated. What you want to do instead is to try studying first thing in the morning when you have no distractions, the calendar hasn't been complicated, and you can just give it a go. If you can't quite identify what makes things easier for you, then look for the things that make it harder and avoid those. Like, stay away from anything that you know is going to make it harder. Now I'm going to give you a bonus. Learn to reward yourself. Getting the motivation to obtain the reward after a small task has been completed is a great part of the trick. But for it to work, you need to find the right reward. And also you need to learn how to resist the urge to take the reward before you've earned it. Now, to be completely honest, this isn't a quick fix, but over time, it's going to be a game changer in any productivity routines that you have. Now, to find the right carrot, you have to think about things that when you're focused studying, you wish you were doing. Playing video games, watching a movie, maybe hanging out with your friends. You can also pick up things during the week that then later will become your reward. But refrain from starting any of those until you've put to work. Believe me, it's going to taste even better. To refrain from getting the rewards, you can apply the 5-minute rule. This 5-minute rule means to create a 5-minute friction between you and the reward. And in those 5 minutes, you're going to have enough time to discourage yourself from getting that unearned reward. So this could be putting your phone on another room, giving it to a flatmate or friend. And this is also amazing because it will train you to be more focused and to be more resistant of distractions. Having that freedom, my friends, is amazing. Now that you have found the right carrot, what we need to do is make sure you're set up for success. Let's say that you want to study an hour before you go to sleep every day after you got home. The first thing you want to do is make space in your calendar and daily routine so this can happen. So this study session, this new thing, and this reward that you're going to get, they have enough space to flourish. Let's say you usually get home, cook, eat, and start playing video games or watching Netflix. You might have to make some adjustments to fit everything all together. Like giving yourself 30 minutes before start cooking so you can study, and then after you cook and eat, give yourself another 30 minutes before you start playing games or watching Netflix. In that way, you would have had that hour you wanted, and you also got the reward. That's all for today. Thank you for stopping by. I hope this really helped your studies. Please, if you have any question, let me know in the comments. I will answer them all.